Hello people, Lebloini here in our Let's Play of Dominion 6, a strategy game for lunatics. It's now early spring in the year 2 of the Ascension Wars, and our little elf nation of TNN makes ready for war. And because we make ready and haven't started yet, there are only two messages this turn. The Banshee has searched Hesperia for magic but didn't find shit. Well, but the construction of the fortress in Cradra is completed. We now have a real fortress here, with a nice high wall integrity of 500. The siege defense also looks impressive, but it will go down by some failure, I've completely forgotten that word, by a lot. Some large amount. One second too late. Anyway, because of course part of the defenders are the guard commanders here, but our people, our elf lords, and they will move out with their troops soon. Then we only have the 40, 50, 60, about 60 left as impromptu siege defense. What this also means, in a difference to Dominions 5, even if your fortress is empty, there is still a batch of defenders if you board up the fortifications. But it's not like you can waltz in there with a scout and take an undefended fort or something, or a tiny squad of 10 people and take the fort without resistance. Nope. Now you have to at least bring enough to defeat the defense power here, because if you have less than the approximately 60 people here, then the fort defense won't go, the wall integrity won't go down, and then you have to awkwardly sit around and wait for ages while the supply slowly goes down and the defenders start starving. And I'm not even sure those AI defenders will starve, if that's even possible. Could be you're just fucked if you just sit around waiting. Anyway, the long-handed is ready for warfare, and we got some additional troops for him. Sadly, those guys are just normal she warriors with some magic upgrades with their glamour and their bronze spears. Sadly, while they are good at attack and defense and have some protection at least, they're also just common elves, not magic superpower elves like our sacreds. But that will be a nice buffer for the enemy to run into after they crossed our gigantic line of slingers. And right in the middle, our giant squadron of Kappas moving through. Let's confirm that all the horsemen in the back still have their buff and then attack. Scripting, because we are still in an early phase of the game where magic doesn't matter too much and we'll have to rely on our sacred strength. And of course this will get interesting. I may have to change tactics, because while we probably can defeat those giants simply on account of having more troops than them and being really hard to hit, I'm not sure our tactic of assaulting the backline will work out well for us if it's our squishy mages on horse against enemy leaders who are giants. At least it would be a feat worthy of an elf lord, I feel. So anyway, we assault the Dragon Scale Mountains, and from what we know so far there is nothing here, but scouts can be a bit unreliable. Could be that he put up some defense, and if he puts defense up this turn it will still be there when we assault next turn, thanks to how the turn works, the turn mechanics. Some things like magic attacks come first, and some stuff like battles comes later in the turn. So now this army is marching, the Kappas are moving through to take a look at good water and hopefully beat enemies to death. And now we have our second squadron, the last misfit, riding in the name of Gem and the Holograms. 4 riders and a giant stack of sacreds on foot. All this army is doing is buffing themselves and then attacking. Simple and to the point. Sorry, Esquania, our war against giants has begun. There's still not much here, but still, since they are giants, would still be a bit depressive to fight, I feel. And let's see, scout news. Yep, scout report shows that this army is in the middle of nowhere. That's interesting. They are sitting outside the capital for some reason. Normally I would say, okay, they're outside here, and there's a temple, so there must be something important they are protecting here. Maybe a fortress building. But on the other hand, there is a border fortress of Arco right here. So maybe this was a Mekone fortress and Arco is at war with them. Yeah, I had not much contact with the guy who is playing Arco, except that for some reason he moved troops through here instead of, as I thought, setting up shop for later. That could still happen since there is at least this one mystic, low level Arco mage. And here are more troops either coming or going. So what happens here is either this is just a really awkward border with Arco, and Arco is moving troops northward to attack Calum. I should probably ask some more questions to that player. Or they're moving southward and attacking Mekone right now. Well, we don't know. I guess I have to sit down and ask some players what they are doing right now. Let's see, recruitment in the capital is going on. Okay, friend, you are back, and you don't need to march around anymore. You can stay here now. We have, of course, now here our first real astral mage, and this guy, Lavede. Lavede is only here for one purpose, and one purpose only: to collect units. As soon as we hit something close to 50, we march him off into the safety of our capital and redistribute. We are currently recruiting another 2 other sorcerers. Will be the third one, and oh wait, the second. A gem is so glamorous that it's on a first glance it looks very close. At least until you notice that one is a giant and one is just a lady. Anyway, we're still having some stuff left over to recruit, so let's get some of our sacreds. Since we can recruit them up to until holy points go to 0 here. We still have some amount of money left over, so let's... Well, not much more here, because again we don't have enough recruitment points to do more. That's a lot of... wow. Let's see. Hey you, can you build something? Nope. It's the early age, and while our elves are awesome, fortifications are the highest we can do our fortresses. No castles, no citadels. You have to do with this shit here. At least I should be happy. In Dominions 5, fortresses only had a wall integrity of 250, and siege defense was only whatever garbage you left inside. So this didn't exist. This was only half that. So you see why fortresses are far more expensive to build here. Anyway, not much to do here. One army moves down here, one army moves down here, and one army gets slowed into position for a water attack against independent people. And what happens next depends a lot on what I'm finding south here. Because if we make good progress and have some easy victories, I of course can march then into the faraway sea. A tiny lake here, and maybe get to the Sea of Mermaids. To notice, I have now to go to our scouts. Yeah, this one has to stay here, sadly, to make sure we are not losing track of this army. Same with this guy, he has to stay at least for another turn, until I've confirmed, because if my troops get down south enough, then I can move him to another spot to see advancing enemy reinforcements and shit. Oh. Quadra. Yeah, well, you are just a common defender sitting here, so only so the fortress isn't empty. The equipment here is she-lords. She-Lord based. Because I'm effectively recruiting... Okay, now then I have an idea here. Combat speed, okay. Map move 14. And our she-warriors are map move... Oh, they're even slower. Oh, okay, okay. That's the problem. I would really like some long-range troops. Even though... Oh well. It's not like I'm actually good at all the stealthy thing. And what's with those guys? Line trap archers are undisciplined. So while they have longer range, they won't obey orders. And their protection is 0, since they're just dudes in the nude. It's even worse than our 4, which at least occasionally would stop a single arrow or something. But slings, well. At least slings do blunt damage, which is not that common among slings. Damage, 5 points of blunt. Half of wielder strength is added. So which is in this case, let me think, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 to 11 I would say, and that's of course rounded down. Well, a lot of slings can hurt, so and since they are probably getting beaten up in every major battle, let's get so... Oh wait, I have resources and recruitment points for more of those. But I also need some slingers if I want to make reinforcement troops that consist of more than just 5 slingers. Oh, yes, of course, recruitment points. So, well, 3 slingers are better than none, I guess. I still have resources left here. But again, in earlier games, Dominions 4 and earlier, the recruitment points didn't exist. They got introduced in Dominions 5. Because people found ways to absolutely abuse the fact that if you have units or commanders who give you more gold, and even worse, units and commanders who give you more resources, you can effectively set up provinces where you recruit infinite amounts of units. And the recruitment points are now a measurement to say, okay, stop a moment. This province has like 10 people in it. Of course you can't recruit 10,000 heavy knights here, that would be ridiculous. And so on. So well, she is now here and searching a bit more. She is here and searching. She is now moving, she is now searching and then moving. So my auto researchers are online. Recruitment of mages is going on. War has started. So let's see, what does our research say? It's a bit low considering at which point we are here. We can't really do the thing we did in the early game anymore. Now our she-lords have to actually be commanders. Well, I guess I see how the first battle against the giants goes. If my stupid expensive mage attack actually works out, I guess I'll continue using it. And now let's add some conjuration levels at the very end here, after we got some battle spells. Because level 6 and 5 will unlock some serious shit. I have no idea what a blue cap is, I have to look at this up online. But Fey Knights are fairly nice, even if every spell only gives you like 3. And you can only call them in forests and cave forests, which is of course a little bit absurd since our elves are the civilized kinds, only plains all around. Can we exactly use this? We have plains, 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 plains. Even our capital is just plains. Huh. And farmland. Is there any forest here? Well, highlands don't count as mountains, I think. Plains and plains. It's just a giant plain. Holy fucking shit. It's kind of funny how the elf nation has spawned as far away from any forest as humanly, well, elfinly possible. Is there even any of those spells I can use them? Fey Footfolk. Forest and cave forests. I'm getting a headache. So we are elves who can't summon our brethren from the wild dimension because the game spawned us outside. That's funny. Cave kobolds. Someone's cave kobold. Well, that's even better. That's typical Dominion's logic here. The cave kobold can be summoned anywhere that's not underwater, not just in caves like you would assume. The water kobold on the other side can be called everywhere, just not underwater. So apparently kobolds don't get too stressed about not being in the forest. But the common phase and their leaders, the Fey Knights, they need to be enforced. That's a headache. At least I guess I can summon kobolds. Is there anything useful? Well, yeah, elementals, but we don't have air or water magic in that amount anymore, so that's not that much of use for us. A vacant sleeper. That's an ancient hero leader who is a good commander. The blue cap is some kind of mage, and it has 0 limits. Oh, that's interesting. That's a magic commander who comes, if this is true, with a chance of eventually losing their magic and turning back into just a common kobold. That's a bit risky. There's a lot of high risk spells here in the glamour world. Summon a gnome, which needs glamour and earth. Another path I'm not really sure I actually have. The Fey Prince. It's kind of funny how all these glamour spells kind of assume my elves are actually in a forest. I'm not really sure if I can actually solve this problem. Anyway, we need at least some conjuration, so I'll leave that in. Level 4, then construction, then evocation, which has some combat spells we direly need, and then maybe we switch out the conjuration for more alteration and thaumaturgy to collect some more nice spells. Because really, as long as I'm not managing to cross over that bridge and take some forest provinces, I don't actually have a place where I can summon Fey folk. I guess apart from winning the next war, what I'm also planning to do is get some forest and then building a fortress there, so I can safely summon Fey creatures. I'm guessing for long-term plans that may be even more important than getting a second capital, because obviously a capital gives a lot of income. You can see here, income, lots of money per each turn. So getting another player's capital will also give us tons and tons of fresh income. Even more than the giant amount of planes I sucked up over here. And that's it. Riley is still taking the slow approach, and there's not much priestering going on, with the result that everywhere is my own dominion hanging around. So to be fair, we have luck scale, so it's possible that Riley is priestering up somewhere else, but keeps our edge of the ocean fish free, simply to get beneficial events, because that can also happen. I forgot the exact mechanics, but it's one of the reasons why, while sometimes if you have made your dominion shitty to squeeze out more points for your god, you end up letting other players' dominions in if they have something nice for you to help out. But like everything in Dominion 6, it's hideously complicated and I keep forgetting the small details. Anyway, point of this turn is our assault on Mekone begins. And that's it really. Diploini out. People, it's me again, Diploini, your best friend and worst enemy. I'm here again with our Let's Play of Dominion 6, the most complicated strategy fantasy horror game in the known universe. And we're playing as the elf nation of TNN, trying to make our goddess jam into holograms to the prime mega goddess of the the one true goddess of all of creation and all of music. And things are picking up since last time we started our first invasion. Let's look at our messages then. First off is the anointed rugs by the name of Tsimimar. Wow, I have no idea how someone who grew up with the English language is supposed to pronounce this without tying knots in their tongue. Anyway, someone claimed the rainbow throne in the name of Zauna, the ever-burning one, Lord of Fires, King of the Wastes. Very impressive, which means we now have to look at the thrones to see which ones are claimed and how much time we have to get to a region where there actually are thrones to claim. Then we have one of our auto researchers searching, but of course not finding anything. Then our invasion begins. First, a battle in the Dragonscale Mountains. Our main army rushes in and butchers the few handful of defenders with ease. Something I should note, while you have your own troops that will eventually show up, you have to boost the province defense quite a lot to get to your national units. So while we are attacking your giant nation, perhaps foolishly, our enemy has not boosted our border provinces high enough so we aren't facing giants just yet. Let's take a look here. I wonder if I can just do this. Detail should be enough. I wonder if I can set these settings as a default somewhere. Weather scales. Weather. It's raining and clouding. Rated. Or is this the explanation? And let's just run it to see what's happening here. Yes, we are blessing ourselves. Although our slingers, of course, just get a little bit of moral boost. Then we just run over them without even stopping. Apparently we fought at this weird little plateau, or coming down from a big hill. The second battle is equally one-sided. Our secondary army with our prophet does the exact same thing. There's even, funnily enough, a single heavy cavalry who gets absolutely dumpstered by what we are bringing to the table. Because if you have cavalry units, a lower amount of cavalry units than the enemy has commanders, then oh yes, and of course the defenders are sadly not smart enough to do something about this. And the battle ends before even everyone else is butchered because our She-Lords executed the commanders. Then we have some random events. In Snowford we got some Earth Games, and that was all. Then we get in Cradle an event. The Dominion changed specifically because, again, a local church has been infiltrated by evil and corrupt, evil foreign priests. I hate this. And I think that's the second time this happened. I have luck scales, but yet Cradra gets hit by negative events. That's my life sometimes. Then Belmar. Belmar has a case of diarrhea. And this means Belmar is now back to defense 1, because, and another change to the earlier games, there is no such thing as defense 0 anymore. There's always at least one guy with a sword to defend your provinces. So -10 means it's actually -9 for us. But we have to pay something just to get... Oh, I don't actually have enough money to do more than just the most basic defense. Well, anyway. At least I can collect some units here. Emergency deals have to be the province defense until I can... Oh, I know I am low on money. I'll correct that soon. Now let's look here. Oh great, my keyboard is sluggish. I hate this shit. It's in the middle of the work week. Please don't do this to me. Resources enough. I could recruit them, one per turn. Yes, why not? But I need to scrounge up some money first, so let's go to our capital. We have no two strong super mage girls, and they're basically the background singers for Gem and Holograms at this point. Now let's change things up and... oh wow! I really don't have a lot of money right now. Do I something stupid like recruiting more Sheilas? Yes I do. And of course the invasion has to continue. Let's... oh, of course I can also reset things. First off, let's make sure that at least one guy is here for emergencies. You never know what the future might bring when it's not that much cost. And we have some money left over, but not enough for anything special, not even for a research mage. Since I at least want to gain something, I think it's start to recruit some assassins. And then I have still something left over for a single guy of those, a single guy of those, and a slinger. Whoops, no I don't. Huh. And then this way around. Well, I do have a reserve army, worthy of its name right now. I'm not sure I should march them forward right now. Yeah, after all, here we have Riley as neighbors and I don't want to entice them to suddenly attack. So let's wait until things go wrong. It's not, after all, as if our empire is gigantic right now. So, next part. Oh, good. Good water. Oh yeah. Guys with fins and knives. Easy meat. You may continue. 2 turns? Well, then I'll rather do this. Because there's always a possibility of something fucking up and letting one army behind for some reason. Something I really don't want. Then let's check here the recruitment. Well, we don't need that many right now, so let's recruit 3 per turn here. And just stack units in case I need another batch of copper. Quadra. Quadra now has some units here. Sadly no 2 others, no secrets, only our basic elf infantry. I could recruit Firbolgs, which are cheaper, but also shittier. So let's do the elf for now, with some air slingers added in. Maybe since She-Lords are expensive, and this one is an army leader instead of an army attacker, let's add some guards. And let's see, scripting. I think by now, I slowly have to make some script that's not blessing related. What is my research doing, Anna, by the way? Slowly getting on track. We have Conjuration 4 next turn, which will give us... oh yes, Fey Footfall. Now we only need a forest. But we also gain at the end of the rainbow, so we can use some of our slowly growing stockpile of gems to look if we may have overlooked a glamour site here and there. Especially useful is since I don't want my expensive mages to do any more site searching now that things are getting ugly. And since at least one of my auto mages is glamour 2 but not much more. Where are those guys right now? Ah yes, there is our Astral and Air Mage. Still hopeful. And here is my Banshee. Glamour 2 is rather high, so it could be that she still finds something if she ever gets to a province that's new. Yes, that's... but since we are taking here mountain provinces and then get further down the river, quite literally, we eventually leave the plains and like highlands and dragon scale mountains Highlands, Highlands, yes. Highlands have, I think, a slightly higher chance of having magic sites. There will be a prime target for our mages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How much range do those spells have? And the end of the rainbow. 3 provinces. Oh, that's not much. But since this only takes level 2 in Glamour, I can just let one of my shield lords here do the duty until the army is actually needed. So 1, 2, 3. Yes, I can actually side search those from afar. And if the invasion runs well enough, I probably park another side searcher here, who then sends the glamour camps out. Still ridiculous, because we need a lot of glamour, but not that much nature. Maybe I should ask around for someone to trade games with me on Discord, because it would be nice to have more glamour games, which we need a lot of, and slightly less nature, which well, it's still useful since we have a lot of nature paths also, but it's slightly less. We also have, well, we could use some astral games. Earth, maybe not. We have only rarely some earth. So earth games is something else we could just change in. Fire and air, I'm not so sure. We have some air mages to forge some minor air shit if we absolutely want to. And fire is nice for a fairly late item that boosts research. If we ever get someone with... Oh, of course. We have the long-handed, our fire mage. If this guy survives the war, we could just have him forge something. Or with 3 levels in fire, we may simply summon more fire guys. It depends on how much time I get to unlock fire sites, because without fire income we only have gems from events. As you can see, we only have income in those 4 types. First of all, we just rely on gifts from our random events. Anyway, recruitment is changed. We get still some mages here. We are still recruiting here. So next turn we'll better hope that the additional income from the new provinces will help us keep recruiting more stuff. This army is forever smallish, but I think it could deal with elephants. Because now we have a strategic decision to make. I mean, not for these guys. Since the war has just started, I don't want to spend too much money on defense. So let's just go to 5 here. It's basically an exact copy of what the Mekone player did. 1 heavy cavalry, some light cavalry and so on, and of course far away from any of our own units, because we lack the money. Let's see. Is there anything here? Do we have wounded? Oh yes, we have. That's nice. Yeah, if you hit W on your keyboard, it highlights all and selects all the wounded. In this case, it's weakened. He loses strength, but that's not that harmful. And then we have a chest wound and a limb. Mad move -4, which normally would be a bit annoying, but none of them is crippled, so none of them would die. And of course I have no way to send them back without weakening my army. So those two have to suck it up. Next target is Rivia. Not just because it's on the route to the enemy capital and this nice stack of big, strong giants. Oh, holy hell, eh? For a couple seconds I could only remember my native German word, Gigant. I'm not sure we're strong enough to deal with something between 60 and 90 enemies here, maybe more, depending on how close this is here. But it's not all giants only. There are also goats. That's a funny thing. A Basileus. I really have to look up commanders. I think a Basileus might be their prophet. And I still have no idea what's going on here in Mekone. How many troops are there in reserve? Let's go down here. And I think since this army hasn't moved now in 2 turns, there is probably no war between them and Arco. But this of course means I can't just ask Arco to maybe join me for an easy victory, because 2 players against 1 is hard to come back with if you are the one. And of course, if there is something important he is protecting with his main army, it may end up being that there isn't a second army in Mekone, but I would like to know. So I'm moving this guy. This one, well, I don't really need him here anymore, but I would like to see what those troops inside actually are capable of. So I let this poor guy here, because if I break open the 4, one nice tactic you can do is send in a scout alone. Then you get a little battle video, like I've shown you, and then you can see what's inside the 4, get a nice little report of what the units are doing. You can look up commanders and so on, like I did with our real battles. And that's why our scouts have hold, retreat. 2 turns to just look at what the enemy is doing, and if the scout still lives, he runs away. In enemy territory it's still certain death, but if we have a situation like this one where we encounter an enemy fortress and clear up some of the surrounding territory first, there's a good chance that the scout will retreat into friendly territory and survive. Which, you know, every little bit helps. So now I have absolutely no money left, and now there are 2 decisions. The first one is easy because a temple costs a lot of money, and he is automatically destroyed if we attack here. Province is free from enemy units, but this is just the game telling us that there is no active enemy player army marching forward here. It could be that there is actually a strong defense, because the messages about defense control shows only up if we have a scout inside, or if it's inside our dominion. I think that's the rules. Then you get those sentences like, the local defense of this province appears to be very strong and well organized, which in other words means that someone put a lot of money in here, and we may see and encounter some real giants. But do you know what's even more annoying? Having elephants. Apparently Mekone is recruiting elephants here, while elephants are mostly nice to have against independent units who then get trampled by them. They're also notoriously hard to deal with in later parts of the game, simply because they have almost no magic resistance and are therefore highly vulnerable against all forms of attack magic. They are also easy to spook like real elephants, and have a habit of trampling through your own units if they get spooked. Also important, even if 5 to 7, if I interpret this right, it's not a lot. It is a lot if all I have to pay for is free. That's not optimal. I mean, I could take some units out here to upgrade our province defenses a bit. For example, to 5 here. Then a little bit higher here. And after a certain point I'm just throwing money away, since I can't foresee the future. So I guess what I'm saying is, while the secondary army continues here, I am now forced to deal with the stupid elephants, because I don't, well, it is a bit of a pickle. I don't want this fortress suddenly transform into a better, harder to take one. So it would be nice not having to pay for it. But on the other hand, I also don't want a sneaky Mekone commander to suddenly be recruited here and march forward to wreak havoc behind our lines. One thing I can do, of course, is taking the army I have here to take those sneaky bitch elephants. Let's see. I have this big chunk of units. Well, nothing to do here. I would like to smash those elephants flat, but not taking this fortress fast enough would be even worse. Also let's attack here. Whoop, attack. Let's make sure it takes. Because, as you remember, fortifications are far stronger than in older games. And with the additional defense gifted by the game in Dominion 6, plus the limited chef we have carried with us, we have to do something to explain better what I'm talking about. The game calculates our siege assault strength up here. We have 127 units, which then means we march through. This means we march through a province that has 470 supplies, and this means we use 41 supplies thanks to our elf mages creating so many supplies. And the end result of how many units we have and how big they are and additional special powers if available for us know. The end result is a total siege strength of 200. And this means we'd need 2 turns to crack open a normal palisade and storm it. But to remind you, wall integrity of even the basic level fortresses is 500. So that's now not 3 turns to fully crack through. But instead it's 1, 2, 3 turns. Oh, wow. Let's 1, 2. Ah, yes, it's not 2, but 3 turns. Wow. Sorry, but I'm bad at math. And the fort defense of a fortress is higher than a basic palisades. So actually our attack strength here would have been something like 150 against 500. 150, 300, 440, 4 turns. So we need to wait until turn 5 after the siege begins before we can even take a look inside or attack. With a normal palisades, it takes 2 turns to crack them open, and a 3rd turn to look inside, and then a 4th turn to storm. Meanwhile, this bigger fortress would still be holding out at that point. So you see, there is a certain difference. And also, if we can crack this province defense now, we can prevent Mekone doing something sneaky and putting more money in to make it harder for us to get there without taking losses. Now if this works out next turn, we'll take this province, Riviera, and put a siege force on here. Then I'll have to think again, because since it's currently spring, we can only march forward across the bridge, which would take us into the range of this main army here, and I'm not sure we can take it without combined forces. On the other hand, if I have to go into the other direction to go down here, it will take an additional turn for us. But most importantly, this enemy temple will be wiped out. And hey, if this guy actually pulls it off and sends a raiding force of elephants northward, we may need a secondary army if I can deal with this shit here fast enough. Kappas are en route to take a swim. A small reinforcement army is growing in Quedra. Those guys are recruiting and or site searching. And we are recruiting some more units here. Oops, I meant for recruiting. Not very much, but every little bit helps. And hey, maybe I'm going to recruit some scouts next turn so I can get more units faster, depending on how much money next turn will bring me. Also, yeah. Construction. Level 1 we have unlocked, but sadly there is nothing to help us breathe underwater. So no underwater scouts for us. Then we get some more spells at level 2, and level 3 means just, get some real magic items. And then we switch targets again to evocation and conjuration again after that. Let's see how that shit works out. Anyway, move scouts. Well, not that one. I still want to. That's the problem. If I want to use him, would that move him? Fuck it. I can recruit scouts down in Credra if I have a second She-Lord here. So let's keep him here for underwater adventures and keep recruiting mages in our capital. This is just a random champion. We're leaving here regardless of how fast enemy reinforcements will force me to send my own reinforcements and so on. Then we have these guys. This guy collecting additional units from our little base in Belmar. And this guy is just collecting troops, and this is a scout up here, and we still haven't found any borders, except some of those thrones aren't yet taken. Well, let's take a look underground here, because this is the cave layer and I want to show off what's going on here. Besides, we are moving further and further away from our borders, to the point where everything behind the scout is already invisible again. And we have our scout here. And I have another scout. Let's search manually. Ah yes, this one. And this one is already had movements out, so that's the reason he didn't show up when I searched for unused commanders. Let's look at thrones. That's all the thrones. We need 12 points to ascend. We have a wide variety of thrones. Some only giving 1 point, which means they have generally not much in the means of defense. Some of them have already been claimed. And it looks like Abysia is the one sitting in that nest of thrones, because they are collecting thrones like fuck. They're already up to 4 points. And our underwater friends got another one. But most of those are still unclaimed. And the 3-point one is possibly will stay that way for a while. Because holy fucking shit does a level 3 throne take troops and mages to crack. The level 2 ones are sometimes easy, sometimes hard. So you can see Abysia already took one, really 2. The level 1 thrones are almost freebies. They are barely stronger than independent armies. And well, there are those in the realm of Vanheim. Vanheim is another player who got multiple thrones to take, which possibly means if we have a chance, if we want to win the game, we have to fight Vanheim at some point or other. Because there's so many fucking thrones in that direction, it's incredible. And we don't need that much throne points. So the current strategy for the long-term plan is to overwhelm Mekone, which has 0 thrones as far as I can see. And after we absorb them and have more resources available and more research and more mages, I'll plan to fight Vanheim simply because they have all the thrones. Let's look at my throne raider. Yeah, they're all about here. That's kind of sucks. The map generation here doesn't really impress me. Sure, this giant plane is halfway realistic. Even it's odd to put an elf nation in the middle of a giant plane, for fuck's sake. But randomly clustering the thrones so much, it sucks also a lot. I guess if it weren't for Mekone being so big and so dangerous in terms of troops and resources, Vanheim would have made more sense. And they're definitely shaping up to be our next target if we survive our mess. But that's about it. End of turn. And wow, finally a time where not everyone has played yet, so I can end this turn without going mad from talking. Diploini out. See you next time.